Hello, corn dogs, and welcome to the Corn Corner podcast. I'm Wren.
I'm Cam, and I didn't prepare a statement for this episode because I'm overwhelmed with life.
People, and because of that overwhelming feeling that is growing within our insides and feels like it's going to take over our bodies and going to make us pass out on the ground, much like a small ant, we are going to tell our most wild, kinkiest, most salacious stories that could be heard by you. You have had, over the couple years, a quite salacious times.
Yeah.
And we would love for you to tell, this is going to be more of a whole, think of me as an Oprah. And I am a no holds bar, tell all kind of situation right now. And you're here to entertain.
Yeah.
And also address some of the stories that need to be addressed. So
they gotta be addressed.
So start now.
Boom. Let me burp first. Okay. So last episode, we were talking about a long series of multiple episodes, quote unquote, that we shot with Kiss Me Deadly Doll, KMDD. And the series was like multiple different kinky things. It was like impact, electro, large insertion, ice bath, and drowning, breath play, drowning, whatever happened in that one. But the last scene of like the 4 things we did was a big like med-fet scene or medical fetish scene. So that involved me getting catheterized, and I had never been before. I think I have once in a hospital for actual medical reasons. But KMDD got catheter lessons for this.
I'm a surgeon.
Yeah, we didn't go about this willy-nilly. And just to put this out there at the beginning of this story, there was so much safety and cleanliness protocols in place to make this like the safest possible exploration of this thing. Like, she treated it like really like we were in a doctor's office.
We sterilized everything properly. She had a little surgeon come in to show her how to do it.
Yeah.
Every one of us were sterile. We had sterile gloves. Once we got gloved up, we followed it
to a T.
Yeah.
Things were followed. So anyway, with all that in mind, I'm like in a dental chair thing. And like strapped down with rubber tubing, I think is what we used or something.
Yeah, it was rubber tubing.
Yeah, so bondage in a dental chair. I had like did I have that thing in my mouth the whole time? I forget.
I don't remember.
Or if I just had my mouth covered with gauze or something.
I don't remember at all.
I don't either now at this point. I may have had this wild mouth spreader gag thing in the whole time. Truly don't remember. And then like gauze on my head at some point or something. I was in it, you know? I was really in it. My little hands were taped up too, so I had little mitsies. And I'm in the stirrups, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, just Google it. I don't have to.
Can't be that hard to figure out.
Yeah. So the catheter thing itself was wild. It did not hurt because it shouldn't. It feels odd because it's a very foreign, invasive thing. But Doll did it expertly. You were a great nurse's assistant.
I did
in the scenario, and I should say that leading up to it,
that one felt different. Doing the catheter felt different.
Oh,
that was day 3.
Yeah,
that one felt different.
We were like,
that was different.
It was intense.
I was like,
we were all like, we got to be on.
That didn't feel like a performance.
No, it was not a performance because I was doing it for the first time. So I was like, this is real. I can't act for this. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
We were all sweating.
So if you watch that scene in the future, just know that I was true. Every reaction, everything is truly real, which is like every scene I do. I don't play up stuff for the camera. But like lightly getting flogged. But also leading up to the scene, I was positively tanking water. Like I drank, I'm already a really hydrated person, but I drank so much goddamn water for this because I didn't want things to not come out. I wanted to be like ready and have a good output for the catheter. And it was also to the point where I like had to go and I held it for a bit of time because I didn't want to like lose anything. So anyway, the catheter gets put in. And if you have never experienced one or never lucidly experienced one, you still have to let yourself kind of go. Like it will just work at a point, but I still had to like let things happen for it to work. So that was a weird mental thing. But then once it did, there was so much pee in the bag. It was wild. And I'm so glad this is like the first like 5 minutes or something and we're already right into it, hitting you hard. But it was so much. And then it stopped at one point and I was like, hold on now. Like, because they had to resituate cameras or something like that. And I was like, I gotta go more. And I had it in me still, the tube. So I did. And there was a point in it where it like on their end, because when you're collecting it, the bag has to be lower than the body of the person from which the liquid is coming. So the bag was like
gravity.
Yeah, it was like below me where Doll and Wren could get to it or whatever. And if you don't know also how a catheter works is it empties into this like kind of hard plastic collector first that you then have to tip over into another bag.
It's to measure the output.
Yeah. Because this is used for real reasons to measure a patient's urinary output, not to just see how much can you pee.
Yeah, and it's a lot.
Yeah. So they had already emptied it like maybe twice into the bag. But then something happened.
Oh, we didn't have the valve closed on the bag.
Yeah. So then like.
So when we picked it up, it spilled everywhere.
Yeah. So
it
that
just
happened.
We were just like Doll and I were covered in pee.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that like a decent amount spilled out.
A lot.
But that bag was still
you filled up the bag.
Yeah, it was still real full.
You were so hydrated.
So that was number one. And
we were covered in pee. Pee was all over the ground. And by this point, this is day 3 shooting, and we were in the same costumes. So these costumes were just generally dirty because also the studio has a little bitty AC.
Yeah.
But she was working.
Yeah.
And it was hot, so we were sweaty. I mean, these outfits were...
If these nurses' outfits could talk, you know?
So anyway, we're covered in pee. It's all over the ground.
But then... If that's not already wild enough that we just like did a catheter on me for the first time for a scene and then collected the most pee known to man. The second part of the scene, which I'm pretty sure was my idea because I brought the gag that I own, was to take the bag and put it on like a IV hanger thing above me and connect the tube to a gag I have that has a mouth tube. So, and they fit perfectly, you know, lucky for us. So now my giant bag of pee is hanging over my head, connected to my mouth tube, and it's not a funnel situation, it's more of a straw. So it was like a hamster with a pee bag, and I was like, and I don't know why. No one told me that I needed to drink the entire bag of pee, but I was like,
You're just in it.
I was like, I must...
You were very, very concerned about this whole thing looking fake.
Yeah.
That was your number one
or
concern.
Or not intense. I was like, does this look like intense enough?
And Doll and I were like, yeah. Like, there's no way this could be construed as anything being faked.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to show, because it would be possible, hypothetically, for someone to take the pee bag and then somehow get a similar colored liquid.
Sure.
And replace it in the bag and then do this
part.
I
believe that it was, I don't know. We showed it where there was in a stunt bag.
But I just want to go on the record, and I, without a doubt, drank...
It was insane.
All that pee.
It was...
Actually, okay, so the thing is, I did not drink it all because we did some, like, rounds of it or something. Like, I would do a bunch... Oh, it's because we had to pour it from the bag back into the hard plastic container that measured how much there was. And then I drank it out of the plastic container that tubed down into my mouth tube thing. So we did like rounds of filling the plastic container. I don't know how many, 5, I want to say.
I don't
like
have no idea, but it was endless.
But at one point, the angle that the container was at wasn't feeding into my tube well. And then it was and I nodded as such to signal to Doll to like change the angle. And she did, but it overcorrected and it went really fast into my mouth. And I tried so hard to keep up, but I like couldn't. And eventually I just like, I started like being like, and then they took it out really quick or like lifted the thing or whatever, made it so it wasn't pouring into my mouth. And I had to pull the gag out while still keeping my mouth closed because my mouth was still filled with pee. And not crack up to not spit piss all over everyone and the set, and was just like cracking up.
And then you said,
the first thing I said was, "It's a lot of pee." And this was by like
a lot of pee.
Yeah, a lot of pee. This was by like the 5th round of filling it up, and I don't know how many like. I drank at least like
it was at
20 ounces of pee at least.
I think more.
Than
I think way more.
A 32. Liter of pee.
I would easily say 64. I mean, you were chugging. It was a lot. And it was a sight to see.
Yeah.
It was, we hadn't eaten yet. And I remember feeling like after a while, it did start to get a little bit. I was like, okay,
queasy.
I was like, we gotta wrap this shit up.
So the lot of pee.
But then you
happened, and we couldn't stop laughing for like 5 minutes.
Well, the whole scene, there was 2 parts during that 3-day shoot where I knew if I would laugh, I would ruin it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to laugh during the catheter at all, but with you drinking the pee, I wanted to laugh really bad because it was absurd.
Yeah, it was.
But I didn't.
The mental image is literally that of the hamster at the little sucky water thing at the side of its cage. Because I was just and I'd look up at the bag and like watch the level decrease and just be like sucking away.
But then there'd be more. It was just so that was one. And then another one was, I can't remember the other one right now. Honestly, the second day is a blank to me. It just I can't remember what happened that day. But there was something else where I was like, I can't
laugh right now.
Yeah, I gotta not do it.
It was probably when Doll joked about there not being shit in my pants while we were filming. Like in character.
That one was
I laughed, but I had a hood on, so you couldn't see.
That was hard.
That was really funny.
She said that they were clean, and I was like, why are you doing this to me?
It's so funny because if you watch that part of the scene, you can see me turn my head. And it looks like because I'm wearing a hood, it looks like I'm being like ashamed.
Yeah.
But I'm actually cracking up and you can see my back like.
See, and I didn't want to hit those jokes hard because I've made those jokes before and you were like, I don't like those jokes.
I don't like those jokes about me shitting myself. Don't do that.
So I stopped making those kinds of jokes.
God, so
but
funny.
then Chelsea made it, and I was like, oh, great, good. She can do no wrong. And then I was like, I'm not gonna dogpile this. Don't mean to offend your people. Yeah,
audio only people. I sound weird because I'm wearing a dog hood again for part 2 of this episode.
So yeah, that part was so funny. And then I think that pee is hot in a degradation way. Yeah. I think it is. I will say that MedFet is a 0 match for me. I thought it was awesome to be a part of.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I was a part of it.
Yeah.
But as far as a kink that I'm, when I daily take the BDSM kink finder quiz.
Yeah, as we all do every morning.
I do it every morning.
Yep.
Med fetishist is a 0% match for me.
I'm super into MedFet. Not in that I'll make it a daily life thing, but I like the experiment. Like you're an experiment and you're at the will of this person, like poking and prodding you and stuff.
Yeah, it's too. I think this is kind of similar to the end of last episode when we were talking about the differences of things. And I do think that there's a gender line that I think is a little bit different for us. But
Anyway, that pee scene ended with me
holy
saying,
shit.
I wanted to finish it. There's a point, and I'll make a blooper reel where I look at the bag and say, I really want to do this, but I'm starting to not feel good.
Yeah, you started to get ill.
Yeah, or something to that effect. And
You
was
started to
like,
get queasy.
Yeah.
But at that point, the place smelled like pee a little bit. We smelled like pee a little bit, and then we got sandwiches.
And then there was a point where I burped.
It was
while like we were all talking, just having normal conversation amidst the scene, like meta talk, and I was like, and it was so bad.
It was
God, that was nuts.
it was something to behold.
But that scene's also really cute because
I love it.
It was really intense shit.
Yeah.
I got sounded for the first time. I did the catheter stuff, drank, my weight and pee, but then all the in-between times when we cut, we're all cracking up.
Yeah.
I'm strapped in this chair, like being super goofy and smiling the whole time. So it's just a great representation, really, of kink play for me.
It's funny, like, I know this is about crazy salacious stories, but I struggle a lot of times to say what I like, because the things I like are like, obviously I like rope.
Yeah.
But there are other things that I like. I liked being a part of that. I liked that the three of us went through this 3-day long thing. It was intense as fuck. It was so just hard on a time management level.
Yeah.
I mean, we worked our asses off.
Yeah.
Especially Doll. I mean, I did the least of the whole group, and I can say that confidently. But Doll did a lot.
Yeah, like before, like building the set, whatever.
And then Zeppy and Bethany, there are a ton of people that help with all that set stuff, whatever. But the shoot was intense, and I have fun just being a part of that and going through that intense experience.
Yeah.
That's really fun to me.
I like the long things like that, honestly.
The other thing that was super funny was we did the ice bath.
Yeah. Which I wasn't actually going to include that in my list of
then
crazy
let's
stories.
not.
No, we can. It was just funny. It's just fucking funny.
It was just funny because we had this ice bath. We got so many bags of ice.
Yeah.
We go back to the tub, and you're wrapped up in your little middies and your head thing.
Yeah.
And you're laying in the in the ice bath. It's fucking freezing. And we're trying to push you down in the ice, and you're just fighting it.
It was like, so the first take of it, I was so cold, and we learned that like the water needed to be cold, and I needed to get used to it with some stuff before trying to dunk me.
Yeah.
But we went into it and Doll tried to dunk me pretty quickly, and my body would physically not be dunked. Like, the footage is so funny because I don't resist stuff. Like, as a bottom, you tell me to stay put in a place, I will stay there. If I like move at all, I'll come back to the place. If like, I'd never put up resistance. I never try to fight back. I never like block anything. So for me to be like unable to be dunked was like a physiological response outside of my control. Cause my body was like, no. Like, but it was cold. It was hard.
And then we were like washing you.
Yeah.
And that was really funny because I kept kicking water up on you.
Yeah,
And I was like,
it was cold.
Sorry about
that. Was another scene where I have to tactfully edit me smiling out.
Yeah, you were smiling a lot.
Because there were times when I came up that I was just like, whatever.
That was also a hard one to figure out the lighting and all that.
Yeah.
But so what were your others from the thing?
Well, talking about multi-day shoots, the other standout one is the latex at the decommissioned nuclear power plant.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
I'm sure I've talked about it on here, but maybe not in depth that much.
Not in depth.
Yeah. That was a long time ago now. I don't even remember what fucking year that was. Like 2018, maybe 2019. I'm not sure. But with Reflect Desire, we got to go to a decommissioned nuclear power plant on the West Coast and film in it for like 3 days. And we're the last people to get to do that for reasons. But the thing we filmed, I mean, it's multiple scenes that you can find on their site and on my site, camdamage.com. Please go to camdamage.com to find all the kinky stuff that you can't see on OF. Anyway.
Brought to you by camdamage.com.
Yeah, but it was turned into a short film for the Hump Film Fest and won Best Kink that
Nice.
year, which is sick. But it was supposed to be a series of like, the video we made was called Tell Me What You Like. And the narrative is that like I meet this mysterious person at a bar. I give them an envelope that like, you don't know what's in the envelope, whatever. We go back to their place and do normal quote unquote kinky intimate stuff. And then I get like a pillowcase put over my head and then it fades to black. And when it comes off, I'm like naked, chained in nuclear power plant basement thing.
Hey.
In like a huge cavernous concrete area.
Yeah.
So it was like cold as fuck, number one, because it was a concrete cavern in Washington State.
Remember what month?
I don't, but I feel like it was early spring.
It's still...
Yeah, so it was quite cold.
Yeah, early spring.
I think it was like March, maybe. So it was like pretty damn cold. And either way, it would have been cold in there because no sun...
Yeah.
Nothing, no heat is getting in that like space. So like, I think we shot it sequentially. So the first thing we shot was me being chained like there and like impact play stuff. And then I got waterboarded. So it's like, first things first, get waterboarded.
Yeah.
Like get wrecked. And I had like a pillowcase over my head that was taped around my neck, but loosely, like for show kind of, so it could be pulled off. But then amidst the waterboarding, I was laying on it weird or something. And even though we were filming in a way that we were like pulling the punches, you know, like with the waterboarding specifically, where it was going to be edited to look like it was going on longer at a time than it was. But one of the takes, I was situated oddly, and the pillowcase got stuck for, to me, what felt like a minute, but it was 3 seconds, 4 seconds, maybe in reality. Like, and I was fine. Like, I would have been fine if it was longer also, but if you've never been waterboarded before, which I'm saying we were pulling the punches, but I was legitimately being waterboarded no matter how you look about it. So I was absolutely like, and that take is in the final thing because it gets pulled off and I'm like, like whatever, and spitting out water and like curled up on the dirty ground and getting filthy and stuff. And at the time I was like, holy shit. But now I'm like, that was fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome. And then I get like dragged around a bunch in there on the dirty floor, which I love. I like to get very gross and dirty and stuff. And then I get dragged somewhere else and like I'm supposed to be just like laying there, kept whatever. And I get water thrown at me to wake me back up. Very cold. Real cold, made me gasp. And then I get like chained up and I got whipped and impact play stuff done. But the top Vespa didn't know how to throw like a single tail at the time. And so we did like stunt whipping where 10 stepped in and whipped me instead because he's like very proficient in whips and stuff. So it looks like it's Vespa doing it, but it's actually 10 doing it, which is a fun, behind the scenes fact for everyone that you may not know until now. But the whole point of that part was to like make me cry. And I wanted to also, like it was consensual. And I'm a really tough bottom and it's not easy to make me cry. So I was like, if you want that, you're going to have to like do some shit. So it was lucky that 10 did it because he like was my like main top at the time and knew how to do shit. But I have never ugly cried worse on camera.
Are you happy that that's out there in the
I'm stoked because it looks real as fuck because it is. And I like that scene's awesome. And what a unique experience.
Yeah.
To get to go to a place like this and do a bunch of like I was just naked getting rolled around a decommissioned power plant.
Pretty cool.
That's like wild. And then I had to sprint naked outside of it in bare feet on like stone, like gravel.
Just cause?
The final scene is me running away from it. So you can see the cooling towers in the background while I'm running. It hurt so bad.
Yeah, I bet. Did you watch it at Hump?
No, I didn't go to Hump. I've watched the full thing, but I didn't go there. Yeah.
Does that matter to you?
What do you mean?
That it's at Hump?
What do you mean?
Like, is that cool to you? That's
Oh,
that
yeah.
hump? Do you care?
I'm glad it got recognition because we all worked really hard on it. It was a lot of people. Like, there's someone shooting drone footage for it that was like really necessary to show the scope of everything because it showed the cooling towers and like my relation to them and stuff in the story. And it's cool that something like that was at Hump. That's just like so unique.
Yeah.
And that all of these efforts were like recognized in some way, I guess.
Yeah. Hump's a weird one. I'm like, always want to use that as an excuse to make something.
Yeah.
But then I'm always like, yeah.
It's hard because to cut something that we make down to 5 minutes, which is, I think it's like 5 to 7 minutes, that hurts me like greatly. Like no story I want to tell in terms of a kink scene is going to whittle down to 5 minutes because we filmed for like 3 days.
I feel like, I think a successful Hump shoot final product would be very little actual like play scenes and more narrative.
Yeah.
I feel like to me that would be so I would almost like do like 2 edits of a thing.
That's what this one has, an extended edit, which again you can find on our sites.
Hey.
reflectdesire.com and camdamage.com.
You've utilized a freezer before?
I have.
There is a plastic tray in it where you can put a water in it and it gets a little bit colder.
Yeah.
Have you've heard about this? You have?
I'm familiar with the concept.
Have you?
I'm not a big ice user myself, but I don't judge those who do.
I don't like ice either.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a bath.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know you could put a grapes in it and Kool-Aid and things like that in that ice tray?
You can put grapes in an ice tray
with
water? So they're little grape cubes?
Yep.
That seems weird.
Have you ever put oil in like compound oil in there? You can freeze
I used to make
herbs and
coconut
oil.
oil suppositories in the freezer.
For what?
My vagina.
But what is that supposed to do?
It's good for like your I don't do coconut oil stuff anymore because I began to be reactive to it. But it like is supposed to be good for like yeast infections. It's good for like calming irritation, stuff like that. They feel nice because it's like frozen, pop it up there. Put a pad on, have an oily pad. Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I don't really like coconut oil, to be honest with you.
Remember when everyone was using coconut oil as lube?
It was a thing.
That was nuts.
Why?
In retrospect,
happen?
I'm like, hell no, would I do that?
It's so weird.
I guess it probably works for some people, but
I remember the times being like, is this the coconut oil we can eat?
Yeah.
Or is this the
one we shove our fingers in willy-nilly and don't worry about germ theory when it comes to? It's insane. People using that as anal lube? Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me.
That sounds nuts.
Did you ever do oil pulling?
Yeah, I did for a period of time.
Yeah, me
like
too.
many years ago. But then I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. Well, you got any other stories you want to share with us?
Well, now you've brought up ice cube trays. Hey, a segue we did not plan.
We planned. Actually, this whole episode's everything we do is planned.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Scripted show.
Super scripted. There's actually cue cards, and one of the dogs holds them. It took a long time to train him to do it.
Yeah.
But Neptune loves to have a job.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Purina 1, we need more. Or something.
Never Purina. I think it's horse.
I don't fucking
Can't
know.
do that.
Farmer.
I'm trying to think of the whatever. This is the most standout one. I'm just trying to think of ways to dance around it.
I gotta sit back for a second.
You gotta what? Sit back? Okay. You've heard this one, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, but a lot of people haven't. I have a friend, and I don't know if I should name them, but whatever. They take custom video things. Should I just say?
I don't know either. I don't think you should know.
Okay. Well, they do custom video work a lot in the adult industry, and the requests that they get are often pretty wild, and not in a illegal or like non-consensual way. It's just like things you wouldn't necessarily think of doing in terms of kink stuff. So in the adult industry, a lot of performers can't get marked from like impact play because you can't have marks for studio scenes. or on OnlyFans, stuff like that. So this was at a period of time when a lot of people couldn't shoot that kind of more extreme stuff. So I was like, I got you. If you need like intense marks and impact scenes, I'll be there, whatever. So we did this one where it was me and them bottoming to 2 tops. And one of the tops, over a period of, I imagine, weeks, collected his ejaculate. I don't think there's a way to dance around it. I think I can say that. And in ice cube trays, circular ice cube tray things, and made, little cubes, little circle cube things of that salty stuff. And so the scene was that we were like, I think it started with a bunch of impact. I don't remember the order. There was a shit ton of impact to get marks and stuff, really intense impact. But the cubes were put in our, hindquarters, which I've never put an ice cube in a hole before, besides my mouth. And let me tell you, the feeling when an ice cube goes in your butthole is really quite astonishing.
It's okay.
It's something.
Yeah.
So that happened.
And then it just melted?
Yeah, but it stays in.
Yeah.
Like
for a fucking long ass time.
Well, until you push it out into the other person's mouth.
Got it.
Yeah. Which is what happened.
Yeah. To me, that just,
I expected it to be, and that's only part of it also, by the way. There was a lot of like pee-pee and squirting into into a bowl. There was pee-pee going into buttholes, which was then put into a bowl. Said bowl was then drink and poured over people. There was so much stuff.
Covered a lot of bases.
Yeah, but for some reason the ice cubes, which now that I've said all that, the ice cubes are not the weirdest part of any of that. The rest of it seems a lot grosser, frankly. Yeah. But like the ice cubes, I'm like, that was wild. But
it is pretty weird.
I will say that I expected it to be like rank and disgusting. The ice cube part itself of like having it come out of someone else and eating it, whatever. But I was kind of unbothered, to be honest.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't swallow it purposefully and like was like, I'll one up this shit. Custom order guy. Like, let me one up this, and sat there with like my mouth open, and 10 was the other top. 10 like came over and like messed with it and was like taking it out of my mouth and like dripping it back in and like getting like all whatever. And I was just like, thinking back, I'm like, I should have been like gagging, but I was just like, like, and I think the other bottom did gag at one point because of the substance of the cubes, but I think only once. And we were both like, damn, we're so strong. Cause it was like a lot.
It's it's hard to it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
I don't have the strongest stomach in the world.
Yeah.
I have no interest in any of this.
I mean, spit grosses you out.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But just even right now hearing this, I mean, it's just fucking
troubling.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I would do it again. I will say, I would do that act again because it was fun. Like at the end of the day, and we talked about this in another recent kink episode.
This specific thing
with degradation stuff of how I'm not like, oh my God, it was so gross, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, yo, that was nasty. That was fucking sick, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
you never really get embarrassed.
No.
From that kind of stuff, from doing something. Like you get embarrassed when someone says like they love you, but not from like this.
I'm embarrassed when someone's nice to me.
Yeah.
That's like the game with me. I'm like, good luck with trying to actually embarrass me or make me feel ashamed.
So looking forward in the pantheon of available stories that you have not yet made.
Yeah.
What's a story that you want to make?
Well, I want to expand on things I have done that only pale in comparison to the ones I just told because of the lack of duration, which is like shooting stuff while being like drowned. I want to do a whole like water scene thing in the future. And I've only done that in like personal life, like having head dunked while doing stuff, whatever, or held under. I want to do like a whole thing around that.
Okay.
I want to do like a full like dirt burial thing, something where like there's like just a tube sticking out of the ground for breathing, that kind of situation. I like that stuff. I super want to do a long-term captivity thing, which I don't know like how possible that would actually be, but it would be awesome to like set something up somehow where there is an actual long-term captivity documented for like 2 or 3 days or something, like with all needs met. Like
of course,
I'm given food and I can go to the bathroom and like stuff like that. But I think that would be awesome.
I think you're just talking about like a retreat.
For me, yes.
I think you do that.
I'm talking about like I'm in, the barn or whatever and chained up and I don't leave there for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And can't leave like the chain of the wall unless I'm taken away, sleeping on like
a hay bale.
Or something like something bad. Only eating the same thing every meal.
You only got one episode of Tricks and Katya.
Yeah. I didn't get to hit my vape once.
That's probably a good thing for you.
Yeah. Yep. It probably would be, Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you some real stories here.
Yeah. What do you got?
I mean, all of my stories are your stories.
Well, I mean,
I don't think I have anything outside. Let me think.
You have to have one not compared to. Let's not.
Well, no. I'm just trying to think of like a funny thing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something memorable. My issue with my memory is it doesn't work unless it's like kind of jogged. Like it needs to be like I feel like how my brain works is I turn things off into like cold storage until I need to use it.
Yeah.
So it's actually hard.
I think a funny one for you is performing at Folsom this year with the apple.
Oh yeah, it was actually pretty funny. I forgot about that. So Doll and I were performing at Folsom. We needed a skit, and our skit was I was schoolgirl, she was teacher, and I had an apple in the hotel room, and she's like, "Oh, let's play this apple." So she took the Abby and she popped it into my mouth, and then put a bandana around my head, and it stayed there.
Yeah.
And
but I have to add here, the apple was not a mouth-sized apple.
It was fucking massive.
Fucking huge. Like
it was the biggest apple.
Like your hand would be like maybe covering half of it. It was gigantic.
It was a massive fucking apple.
So you couldn't just bite it and hold it.
And she made me open my mouth real big, pop it in the mouth. I closed my mouth.
Yeah.
Well, Abby's aren't the strongest fruit in the world, and I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So after a while, my teeth broke the apple. There's a big ass piece of apple in my mouth. I would try to spit it out on account of I can't, because there's a bandana
keeping the apple pressed into your face.
One thing about kissing Deli Doll is she don't play when she affixes things to your body. She goes hard.
Yeah.
The bandana's not falling off.
Nope.
Abby's on my face. I'm drooling. When a liquid and Abby mix, you get applesauce.
Yeah.
So my entire face is covered in spitty apples.
And she does not like spit.
I don't like it. It's not a red.
Yeah,
it's not like
it's like ew.
Yeah, I fucking do not like it.
But for you, it's not ew fun.
It's ew. I don't like it.
Yes, yeah.
But again, I want to be clear that it's not on my like hard no list. It's just like at the bottom of the barrel. I'm like, it's fucking gross. I don't like it.
And also that part wasn't done purposefully.
No, it wasn't.
Like that was not anticipated that the apple bite would come off and then you'd be like making applesauce in your bandana.
But then I think it's something else about me though, is the things that are on my ew I don't like list. I don't mind when I get pushed and they do happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually happy that I have this story and I can tell it.
Yeah.
Like it's cool.
Yeah.
Like there's a fine line, and I think it starts with the actual bottom being like in control of what they want. But it's like I'm happy that happened. It's like fun, cool. Anyway, then I got inverted, which means that gravity helped, and your nose, instead of having holes that point down, they point up. So I got apple all up my nose. That was awful. I get de-inverted, reverted, some people call it. Abby comes all down my face.
Mm-hmm.
Whole time I got a peace apple in my mouth and I'm just desperately trying not to eat and let go down my fucking throat.
Yeah.
Because I can't swallow it.
Yeah.
Because I'm upside down.
Yeah.
So we get done and my makeup's runny.
Yeah.
My eye makeup's like runny. It's like got so much apples all over my face. So that was a moment.
Yeah.
And I legitimately, I usually buy an apple a week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't eat apples for about a month.
I think there was a time after it that I actually I got applesauce, or I was talking about applesauce like really soon after it, within the trip, because I was like stoked on some fucking applesauce. I don't know. And you were like, get that away from me.
I couldn't do
yeah.
it. It was gross.
So my question mainly is, once you came down and the bandana came off, did you then have to swallow the apple that was in your mouth?
No, I spit it on the floor.
You did?
I absolutely
I didn't
did.
see that.
I spit it on the floor.
I would never.
Shay, I'm so sorry that I did that, but you gotta realize
She was in dire straits.
she was in dire straits.
Couldn't do it.
But I
would
did.
never fucking do that.
And actually, we had this conversation, and you
Yeah.
asked me this exact same thing, and you responded in the exact same way. You
I don't
said
remember.
I would
That's so
never
funny.
do that. But yeah, no, I did, because
It's so funny.
I just was like, this is it.
Also, a fact in that story, if you've never tried to swallow while you're upside down, do it. Like, it's so hard.
It's not possible.
It like hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also kind of think you're like, am I gonna choke on this?
Yes.
And afterwards I had a Capri Sun.
Yeah. What
It was
flavor?
Tropical punch.
Good.
Yeah, it was great. My other one, I think I've talked about this. It just reminded me of this because of Folsom.
Yeah.
But it was when she put that waistline on me
Oh,
and
yeah.
pulled it, and I screamed really loud. That
Yeah.
was really funny.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the whole story. But I screamed so loud, and I actually screamed her name. Like I would never say her name in, like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like I would never talk, like, I would never like address her by a name if we're in a scene, I
Yeah.
guess.
No.
But I
feel-
did
that feels
scream.
weird.
I did scream her name in a way that was
Her
like,
government name?
yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. Well, that's how like
It was real.
that's how fucking
Yeah.
painful I was. Where I was like, I screamed her name and being like it pretty much meant like, please release me. And then she did release me, but boy, I forgot about the patented
Doll come down?
knee hanger. Yeah.
Oh, the knee hanger. Yeah, of course.
I said this Fudo line is should be moving, but I ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
And baby, I'll tell you, it didn't go anywhere.
It was just in the knee.
But I
bit.
told you that story a lot. So
It's fine. I love to hear it.
what else? I'm trying to think of other things that were like notable and like funny. It's just so hard. Like I don't remember things well.
I'm just thinking of our use of please now in terms of kink stuff. It's not a crazy story.
Please?
Like so when I negotiate, this is totally off, but who cares at this point in the episode? Y'all are just along for the ride. Am I right, fam? Anyway, I specifically negotiate this with people, for the record. I don't just like go in knowing that they'll like, or expecting them to know that this is how I communicate during scenes. But instead of a green, yellow, red, which if you're not aware of the like light system, green is everything's good. Yellow is this is getting a bit intense, but I'm good to go. And red is like fucking stop. Like whatever's happening, stop right now and check in and have a discussion. Just also red doesn't mean try to make it work. Anyway, I hate when people are like, "Well, can you a little longer?"
No.
Anyway,
No, red's a
red's an it's over.
yeah,
Whatever.
it's done.
So instead of that, I'll use those if the top negotiates that that's what they prefer. But generally, I just use my words because I'm always able to. And if I can't, like I'm gagged or something, I negotiate specific head movements or sounds like like or whatever, things like that. So everyone, make sure you're doing that kind of shit. Anyway, I use please as a yellow in a good and a bad way. So like we all know how into edge and denial stuff I am. And when I'm getting close to a thing, I'll say please a bunch to not. Like, please don't
Yeah.
let this happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say a full statement, but also if you, like, the person who habitually plays with me or the two people who play with me with edging stuff, I'll say please a shit ton and they know that it means that. Or with pain stuff, if I say please, it means this is getting really intense. And if you keep going, it's okay, but I will like start to go over the wall and then we'll have to like scale it back, whatever. So it's just funny hearing you talking about doll and saying like, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, please.
Because it's like, please stop. Like, not like, please, may I have some more?
That was so great though. That was the best. That was the most completed like scene I've ever felt. Like I felt like I did
because of how far you were pushed.
Yeah, I felt like I did 100%. There was nothing left in the bank, and that's such a cool feeling.
I feel like that's a lot rarer than people realize. In kink play. Yeah,
for me, I can't really think of anything that's come that far of the full meter being filled.
It's hard because I don't want that every time I play.
I don't think it's possible.
No, it's not. It would be completely unsustainable. But it's also hard to achieve because not only do you have to have the limits of the bottom a specific place, but the top also has limits.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say that it happened because before that, we had two intense scenes before that.
Yeah.
And that was our third.
Yeah.
So we had two like warm-up scenes.
Yeah.
And I had already, like, starting the third scene, my meter was already maybe at 20.
Yeah.
I was already pretty tired, right? Like,
does the meter go to 100?
Yeah, it goes to 100, obviously.
Oh,
it goes to 100. And
I use kilometers, so I don't really know what we're...
Well, about 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah,
so my meter started about 200 kilometers in that case.
Yeah.
But yeah, that helped. And I think we also knew that we had the container of the weekend.
Yeah.
And we had a whole drive back. We had the whole night where there was nothing on the agenda. We were in the same hotel room. So it's like we could kind of come back off that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that would have been appropriate for a, hey, haven't hung out in a while. Yeah. What's up? I'm going to go home tonight. Yeah. Like, that wouldn't have been appropriate there because it was quite intense.
That makes sense. I just know that for me, in my case, I'm almost always willing with the specific people I choose to play with this way to go there, like to go as hard as possible. But the majority of the time, tops don't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Because things will get like bloody.
They have
like,
limits.
Yeah. And that's
sense.
Perfectly okay. To be clear, I'll never have like a top stop a scene and be like, all right, like, let's cool down, and me be like, oh, come on, like...
Oh, no, that's so fucked up. That's so manipulative as a bottom to do that.
It's I think it's an important thing to note in kink exchange stuff that, like, top limits and stuff are...
Yeah, that's all you got? That kind of shit? That's all fucked. Like, that's not okay.
I hate...
You know what I mean?
It's like bratting. I hate bratting.
I hate bratting as
Brad
well.
Walking in on this podcast with his meat shoes.
Listen,
am I
Brad,
right, fam?
All right, we're gonna be wrapping this up right now, but everybody, make sure you use hashtag Brad's meat shoes on this one. He's a butcher. He goes into work and he interfaces with meat.
Yeah,
and those are some dirty shoes.
And our dogs do enjoy those meat shoes.
Yep. So from everybody, use hashtag Brad's shoes.
Yeah. Maybe next episode we'll talk about bratting with a T. I would love to talk about bratting, actually.
See, it's funny because I used to think I was a brat.
Nah.
And now I'm like...
Nah.
But I thought I was.
That's very... Well, I'd actually do it. We're going to do an episode on that. I'm excited.
All right. Well, listen. Thanks for sharing these things with me.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a Patreon?
Yeah, and actually, if you sign up for patreon.com/thecorncorner, you will get a free Corn Corner ice cube tray. The ice cubes are in the shape of corn cobs, so if you're into doing activities like the things that were discussed in this podcast episode, they're perfect for you.
They're perfect for you.
So,
to be clear, nothing comes in those ice cubes.
No. I mean, we're not selling ice cubes. I'm selling ice cube trays.
You're trying to peddle these cube trays again.
Yeah. Well, they get them for free if they sign up for patreon.com/thecorncorner.
There you go. This whole time I felt like we're on a Twin Flames video.
Oh, God.
We watched the Twin Flames thing last night.
It's really bad. Are we shaking hands or are we holding hands?
We can shake or hold.
Can you imagine if we did a whole podcast like this?
All right, everybody.
Love wins.
We did it, Cam.
We did it, Joe.